Saints are not as good as they make themselves out to be. The day I'm recording this is All Saints' Day, which in Christian belief remembers those who are particularly holy or good or close to God in some way. I always remember Camus' La Peste, and in it one of the characters says, "What interests me in life is how one becomes a saint." It's like an ambition that people have. Ce qui m'intéresse dans la vie, c'est comment on devient un saint. And it's like a really great thing in Christian thought that to be a saint is to be someone close to God, particularly holy, particularly wonderful. And certainly, as the Bible describes it, I suppose people aspire to become saints. But you know what? They're not really as good as we perhaps think they should be. We may think about halos and we may think about perfection, but actually, when it comes down to it, saints are people who have problems just like you and I do. The great classic saints of Christian thought are St. Peter and St. Paul. But when you look at them and when you unpack them, St. Peter, according to the Bible, actually betrayed Jesus, the very guy who he was supposed to be the right hand of. He turned his back onto him. Jesus turns to him, he says, "Get behind me, Satan." So bad was he. St. Paul, the other great figure in the Bible, he's actually someone who, before he becomes a saint, is involved in the persecution and the killing of the early Christians. When you unpack other saints, like what I taught A-level, I used to teach about St. Augustine. But St. Augustine was for many years someone who lived in the most terrible sexual sin, and was not really someone that you would want to hang around with. The point I'm making here is that when we set people up to be good, and when we describe people as being perfect, it doesn't always work out that way. And indeed, many people who we might think of as saints or perfect people or pure people are themselves deeply flawed individuals, whether it's in the past or whether it's in the future. When I used to teach GCSE, we always used to talk about Myra Hindley. Famously, Myra Hindley was a Moors murderer, was responsible for the death of young children, and yet in her later life we're told that she converted and turned herself to Jesus in a way that many people looked at and said, "Oh, well, that's not possible, that's not right." And I remember pupils used to say, "It can't be the case that God would let in someone who'd done such bad things." But of course, the whole point about Christianity and the whole point about any religion really is that it's saying that always we can move things forward. Doesn't matter how bad things are, we can always move them forward. We're not born perfect. And although we might aspire to develop and grow morally and to become better people, it's not a sudden in or out thing. Those who will tell you that people are either pure or they're not, what we might call people with a slightly polarized or dualistic view of society, that's not the way. People grow, people develop, and our journey through life is one of ups and one of downs. Now, clearly, Myra Hindley is someone who came and went, and what happened to her, what God's final judgment was, I can't even begin to answer to you. But I do know that St. Peter and St. Paul and St. Augustine, by the very fact that they were elevated to sainthood, were people whose achievements were recognized. But they had to get there. They had to go through a process. And that, to me, is a powerful role model to all of us. It's not that we have to be perfect because that's like something that is possible to be. It's something we aspire to be like, something we grow to be like. In Greek Orthodox thought, it's called theosis, that process of growing closer to God. And you can see that development in many writings. So All Saints' Day isn't a celebration of perfection, it's a celebration of a journey and a development and a growth. Please like the video if you have, and subscribe to the channel. That would be really good. Take care. See you again. Bye-bye.